Alright, so today I'm rocking two Apple Watches to give you guys a pretty in-depth comparison between the Apple Watch Series 10 and the Apple Watch Series 7. It's always kind of hard to show Apple Watches and test them all out underneath a camera like this, but I found the best way is to keep them on my wrist because then they don't keep trying to turn off and maybe put in a passcode every 5 seconds. So bear with me if the camera shots are not quite as stellar as you might be used to, but hopefully this will give you a good impression and comparison between these two watches. So first thing I'm going to mention is obviously this is a smaller watch than my Series 10. This is the 41 millimeter, and this is now the 46 millimeter on the Series 10. This is just how it had to be. I don't have my 45 millimeter Series 7 anymore. Gave that one away, but this is the one I have access to before I will eventually sell it off. So this was my wife's Series 7. I set it up as brand new though on my account, so I can show it to you guys here. They're both using the main promotional watch face that came out for their generation. This is the new Series 10 watch face. It's kind of the flagship one because it really shows off that new always on display that refreshes every second, as you can see it ticking right there. Where this is that contour watch face, which shows off how slim the bezels are on the Series 7, which are actually thinner than the bezels on the Series 10. Yeah, they didn't compare it to the Series 7, 8, or 9 in the event because the bezels have gotten bigger than those ones. Not by a lot, but they have. Hopefully that can come across well on screen. You might be able to see it, but the bezels are slimmer on the Series 7 than the Series 10. And again, obviously the comparison would be a little more perfect if I still have my 45 millimeter one, but I think this gets the idea across, and you can still see that this does have thinner bezels than the Series 10. And we're also going to see that there's some more display differences here. And honestly, that's one of the biggest things that has changed now over 3 years of Apple Watches. Yeah, 3 years, and they look almost exactly the same. But there are some differences to the display especially. The Series 7 only goes up to 1000 nits max brightness, where the Series 10 will go up to 2000 nits. And I think you can kind of see already it does look a little bit brighter, but obviously we're not pushing it. We're in an indoor environment. If I was outdoors, this would be much more obvious that the Series 10 gets brighter. It's also supposed to be better and brighter from when viewed at an angle. Hopefully that will come across on the camera for you guys, that this has better angled viewing, which honestly makes a lot of sense for a watch and something I think they should prioritize, so that's good. It has a new LTPO3 technology on the screen, which does enable that every second refresh on the display, where this does not show the second hand when it is in always on mode. This Series 10 does enable sleep apnea detection. It actually is also on the Series 9 now, but that is not on the Series 7. However, the Series 7 and 8 have something that the Series 9 and 10 do not have, including the Ultra 2, which is that it has the blood oxygen app. And you can take a reading here. So it gives me a 95%. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's not the most accurate sensor in the world because that information is hard to get from just one side of your wrist, but it has it, where actually the Series 10 still shows the app there, but it says it is no longer available. That's because they had a copyright claim in court. They had to disable the feature on their Series 9 and later watches. So if that matters to you, you can't get that on the newer ones. To me, I don't think that should be a big reason to stop you from upgrading, because unless they solve that, it's going to keep being that way. So I wouldn't factor that in too much. I kind of think because they leave the app on the watch, they're probably working to correct that, and then it'll probably be a software update that just enables it again. So it's for a time, probably not forever. But yeah, this new Apple Watch Series 10 also has a temperature sensor, so it makes better cycle tracking, and it has crash detection, which is just nice to have. Hopefully you don't need it, but it is nice to have it there, where the Series 7 does not. And it also does have a depth gauge that goes up to 6 meters and a water temperature sensor, which kind of comes over from the Ultra series watches. And that's really cool to see. Although it's not the up to 40-meter depth gauge that the Ultra 2 has. And I still don't think many of you are going to be diving with your Apple Watches, likely. So is that important? Probably not. Also, a benefit with the Series 9 and 10 is you get double tap, which allows you to answer calls or quickly reply to certain things, or do this scrolling through your widgets, which is kind of fun, I guess, but also like, why? But yeah, I mean, it's convenient the few times you need it. Honestly, I've used it maybe one time, and even that time I used it, it's only because I remembered to use it, where I didn't really need to use it. It's not like I had too much in my hands to quickly tap my watch. It was more just, I wanted to try it. But yeah, there are times where you have a full hand and you're getting a phone call, so being able to just double tap quick is convenient. So again, it's more of like a nice to have. To me, it's not like a, this is a reason to upgrade. But hey, if you are in that scenario often where you just really want to answer something on your watch and you have your hands full, then this might be a feature to upgrade for you after all. It also has a 2nd generation ultra wideband chip that enables you to do precision finding on your own iPhone. This is also only with the iPhones that have the 2nd generation ultra wideband chip, which I believe is the 15 series and later. So if you don't even have a compatible iPhone, then this is not going to be an upgradable feature for you. But I did use it once already with my 16 Pro Max, and honestly, it was kind of fun. It was really nice to be able to be directed directly to my iPhone, but just being able to ping it, which you can do from the Series 7, usually gets you close enough, and just listening to the sound, you can usually find it. So again, it's there, it's cool. Upgrade worthy? Probably not. And obviously you have a slightly newer design with the Series 10. I think of it as kind of been pancaked. So it's a little bit thinner, but also a little bit of a bigger case. Like this is a 46mm versus the previous 45mm. And for the smaller size, they went up to 42mm, where this one is a 41mm. So yeah, it's a little bit bigger on your wrist. And if you have small wrists, a bigger watch may be a bad thing. But the benefit is you get the largest display on any Apple Watch in the larger size. And then if you get the smaller size, it's still much larger than you were used to on previous smaller sizes. The Series 10 also does have 4-core neural engine on the actual watch itself, and it has on-device Siri, so not everything's being sent to the cloud or to your phone or to the internet, anything like that, which is handy. I mean, I appreciate that more things like setting a timer can just not require internet, because that's pretty frustrating. And it has the actual low power mode, so you can get up to that 36 hours of battery life if you keep it on low power mode the whole time, which if you realize you forgot your watch charger over a weekend or something like that, you can turn that on and it turns off like always on display and a couple of the sensors, and you might be able to last the whole weekend or close to it at least. And hey, that's actually a pretty cool option to have. Honestly, very upgradable feature right there. But also the Series 9 does have that. So do you need the Series 10? Maybe not. Also, the microphone is supposed to be a little bit better at isolating your voice for phone calls, which, I mean, that is helpful. How much better? Not revolutionary. I mean, it's still a microphone on a watch, but it is better for those times when you need to answer it on your watch. It has a better altimeter and a better gyroscope, which just improves different functions like crash detection and things like that that the watch offers. But is it something you're going to know on a day-to-day basis? No, not really. Guess what? You can now play media through your watch. When my hope is lost and my strength is gone, yay! But at the same time, why? I don't know. I mean, I can see this if you really have no other option. You forgot your AirPods, your phone is dying or something, and you just really have to listen to those tunes while you work out at your home. But you're not going to want to do this in public because you don't want to blast your song or your podcast for everyone to hear. So when is the times you're actually going to use this? Not very often. But at least they allow you to do that, which is nice. I just don't see why they had to redesign the speaker architecture in order to actually allow for this. And I kind of feel like they didn't have to, because the Ultra 2 is also got this enabled now. So what makes this speaker system able to play media back and not the Series 7, 8, and 9? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it's there. And if that matters to you, then you have it. All right, so yeah, that was a lot of little things and small changes. Not a lot of big things if you were following along. And yeah, that's exactly the case. There are very minor differences between these two watches, which is a little crazy considering these are 3 years apart. But that's the thing. Apple Watch, it's Apple Watch. And they're kind of at their peak. And they're good. I really enjoy having my Apple Watch. The little period of time that I didn't have one, I was missing it. And I find them useful and handy, and I feel a little incomplete without mine. But I don't think they're significantly going to change from here on out. I think the Ultra 2 will continue being that high-end rugged version of the watch with a couple more rugged features like better GPS and better depth sensors and stuff like that, and even more water resistance and even more damage resistance and all that kind of stuff. And the regular watches are going to be the same kind of watches that they've always been, with occasionally maybe a new sensor or two. And that's what you're going to get. I don't think Apple's planning on changing the looks of their watches very often. I think they like how it looks. It stands out, and people tend to see this shape and think, that's an Apple Watch right there. And clearly it's working, because the Apple Watch is, as far as I know, still the most popular watch in the world. Not smartwatch, but watch. So they know what they're doing, I guess. And I know of people who literally still use an iPhone because of the Apple Watch, not the other way around. But is the Series 7 and the Series 10 really that different? And should you upgrade from a Series 7? Well, this is my actual advice to you guys. No. You do not need to upgrade from the Series 7 to the Series 10. You don't need to upgrade from the Series 8 to the Series 10. You don't need to upgrade from the Series 9 to the Series 10 especially. But if your Apple Watch is starting to give out, if you got a Series 6 or older, that's just not lasting through the day anymore, it's just become fiddly and annoying, it doesn't get the latest software, something like that, I think this is a really good watch to get. And as long as you can afford it well, I recommend getting the Series 10 above any other watch at this point. Because with these watches, you're putting them through their paces all the time. You might smack it into things. Buying used is kind of harder for a watch like this. It's not impossible, and you can totally do it. I mean, I gave my previous Series 7 away, and I'm sure it's going to get a lot more use and life out of it. So it's not like you can't buy an older Apple Watch. But if you can afford a new one, I just think they're going to last a lot longer for you, and you're going to have less problems. Because doing a battery replacement on these things is not fun, especially if you want to do it yourself. Sending it off to Apple costs a bunch of money, and trying to get it a third-party repair could have things go wrong there too. So just like, if your battery's going bad, if you've scuffed it up a bunch, their trade-ins are okay. They offer me $110 to trade in this Series 7 for a new Series 10. So I'm paying a little under $300 for it. And yeah, that's not nothing. But at the same time, it's not insanely crazy, and they've been keeping the price of the watch so consistent. They've also been keeping the band system the same from the beginning. This still works with older Apple Watches and newer Apple Watches, and that is really impressive. I mentioned this in my unboxing, but what other Apple product supports the same accessories from the very first generation up till its 10th version? I can't name a single other one. Now sure, if you got cases for the actual watch itself, those have changed, but the bands have not. Anyway guys, I hope that helps. Again, I don't try to just recommend people to go buy the latest and greatest just for the fun of it, because of course, the latest one's always going to feel the nicest and the newest. but there's not a whole lot different here. So get which one you can afford, but just know that the older watch you get, the higher the chance of it not lasting you as long, and the higher chance of it not getting as many software updates is there. I'm replacing my wife's Series 7 mostly because her battery was no longer lasting her through the day. So just be cautious, especially if you get a used Series 7, not like a renewed or refurbished one. You might have some battery problems, especially with the smaller size here. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and comment below with any questions you have about the watch, my time with the Series 10 here, or some thoughts I have about the Series 7. And if you're curious on which one you should go for, or if you want my opinion on even a particular deal you found, let me know. Comment below, I will reply. I'll totally engage with you guys and we can discuss pros and cons in the comments as well. And of course, subscribe. My goal is to get to 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Consider that my Christmas present from you guys. You know, if you can get me there, I'll be very, very grateful. And share this to anyone that you think could be at all interested in Apple Watches and iPhones, tablets, all that kind of stuff. Get them subscribed. And if you're curious about any of the equipment I use in my setup right now, it's all gonna be linked in the description down below. And as always, have a great rest of your day.